you're involved in. Again, I want to thank Lanice Jones, who helped to put this event on. All of the people from our office, Hannah Green, Amy DeReyes, Mateo Reyes, Rodney Brooks, Ermina Sanchez, thanks, James. I also want to thank all of those organizations that we mentioned earlier that assisted us in putting this event on, and the people who helped to finance all of this. We really wouldn't be able to do it without you. And this wouldn't have happened had it not been for you. And if you look around right now, we're almost at the same capacity where we were this morning. Almost at the same capacity we were this morning. And that's because you all got engaged and you stayed. How many of you made new connections? How many of you met somebody new, some organization new, shared some information with another organization? Raise your hand. Well, you still have an opportunity to do that before the day is over. I hope that all of you, including our tables outside, were able to make connections with some of our media representatives that are still here. They're not only capturing stories today and getting you on video and writing down who you are and what you're about, they're collecting your cards, some way of getting back in touch with you, so at future dates they can have you on their shows, they can write columns and articles about what you are doing on a regular basis and show the power that is in this room, the power that goes on each and every day in this community as it relates to African Americans and African American and people of African American descent. You know, one of the things that was very interesting during the break is there were some members of our South African community that had not met and made connections with our Nigerian community. And I mean, that just goes to show one of the outcomes of today's coming together. Wade Nobles, to many, how many of you have not heard Dr. Wade Nobles before? Raise your hand. That shows that he's been doing his job, that he's been in the community working on behalf of African Americans and people of African descent for quite some time. Wade Nobles is a doctor. He is a great-great-great-grandson of Candace and Agnes, an enslaved African born in 1810 on the Cook Plantation in South Carolina. Dr. Nobles belongs to the Tim people of Sierra Leone. Dr. Nobles is recognized by the Baba Krudo Mutwa, the High Sanunsi of South Africa, as a two-headed lion with one head in Africa, one head in America, as a Pan-Africanist scholar and practitioner par excellence. Dr. Nobles is the founder and executive director of the Institute for the Advanced Study of Black Family Life and Culture, Incorporated. He's the co-founder and past president of the Association of Black Psychologists. He is a full tenured professor, although retired, in the Department of Africana Black Studies at San Francisco State University. He is an author, a researcher, an academic. He's renowned for his ongoing theoretical development and programmatic application of African Black psychology, African-centered thought, and cultural-grounded scholarship to address the liberation and restoration of the African American mind, worldwide development of African people. We are honored to not only have Dr. Wade Nobles here today, we are honored to really have him as a jewel of the Bay Area, because we have so many jewels in the Bay Area, one that we can claim as our own, a person who is sought after on a daily basis throughout this country and around this world. And it gives me none other than great pleasure to introduce to some and to present to others Dr. Wade Nobles.
You know, I want to do a couple of things. I'm a psychologist. I'm actually an experimental psychologist, so I always am doing research and experiments. So I may be experimenting on you. And what I want to do is a couple of things. I'm going to have a conversation in my own head about the fact that I've been asked to talk about a topic for 15 minutes, and the topic is African people. We have been on this planet from the beginning of time. So I have to try to help you to remember what you've done in the world from the beginning of time till now, and use that as a way to maybe wake you up to seeing who you really are. Because sometimes we ask the wrong question, and even though we get the right answer, it's still the wrong answer because the question was wrong. And I am an intellectual. I say that because some of you may want to shut down because you think intellectuals aren't valuable. I want to be in the streets doing the stuff. But the fact of the matter is that our ancestors taught us a long time ago that there were two kinds of thought. One was called medu necha, which is divine speech. The other was called tef, which is idle chatter. And idle chatter is the crime of organizational development, because we spend a lot of time doing tef, idle chatter, and not get into what is the real issue that we should be addressing. It seems to me that our topic of making connections is probably the most important question we could raise, since the question was, can we elect Barack Obama? See, we put that in our mind. Can we elect Barack Obama? And some of us old folks said, oh, these white folks ain't going to elect no black man. And some of the young folks said, yes, we can. And we worked through all that tension and struggle. But the fact of the matter is that organization is important. And the idea of African-American organizational meeting to make connections is important, but organization really is the wrong question. It is not our organizations, it is our peoplehood. See, we are a people. We are African-American people. And that is even not quite as correct. We are really African people in America. And that African people has to be understood, and I want to argue with you, argue in the intellectual sense. I want to argue that our conversation should be driven by what is the glue that makes our organizations work. Because we can have this meeting over and over again every single month, and we'll end up doing this conversation. My toothbrush is better than your toothbrush, and I want you to use my toothbrush to brush your teeth, even though all our teeth are decaying. We fight about whether my organization is better than your organization, or we end up fighting about, can I get my grant, and can I get your grant, and can I do that, and all this old crazy, foolish talk, when we really should be talking about we are a people, and as African people, how do we walk in the world as unique and valuable people, raising up the next generation to fulfill their unbelievable possibilities? That's our charge. Let me suggest to you that why we come together here is just what we're doing, networking, making connections, but don't make it a networking connection about organizations. Make it a network connection about how family come together. Use your memory. Back in the day, old folks came together around Big Mama's house because there was something that needed to be done.